This show is about helping leaders, entrepreneurs, and consultants navigate the realities of growth, disruption, and change. Today's guest is someone I've known for more than a decade, and since we've worked together in a large transformation project at Ericsson in Sweden. Andrea Moreau Folcker is the founder of EQ5 and the creator of the Return on Change method. With over 25 years of experience, she's led complex transformation programs across corporations like Ericsson and Tele2, as well as fast-growing startups. And she's one of the most respected voices in strategic change, organizational development, and cultural transformation. Andrew's work sits at the intersection of people, technology, and business, helping leaders move from strategy to real behavioral change that delivers results. In today's environment, with all of the AI change and disruption, that perspective has never been more relevant. Andrea, how are you?
Hi. Hi, thank you for having me. This is such I love to talk. So we are you not gonna cut out some parts of it as well? Otherwise it's gonna be here forever.
Great to see you. It's very nice to reconnect after so many years.
It is. And especially with things we've been working together with and with a passion about what I have in change and I'm here with you. So it's thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure. Now, we worked together during a project we had at Ericsson. I was actually living in the US and had went over to a beautiful winter in Sweden for about 8 months. Not the best time of year, dark all the time, but yeah, it was a great project, really fun. We got to know each other and the rest of the team, and really a great adventure that I always think back to very fondly. I wanted to start off with like talking about those kind of large scale programs, and then we'll dive in a little bit into what you're doing on with EQ5 today. If you think back to some of those very large organizations you work with, that kind of change that you see in those large organizations, is that relevant? The stuff that we had done a long time ago for leaders that are facing today's kind of disruption?
Yeah, I think definitely. You do have the same thing. We are still being people that needs to go from one place to another, and we are evolving all the time. So I think the lessons from our time together at Ericsson, don't underestimate uh, stakeholder management. I think that's still pretty much super important, whatever change you're doing, specifically with AI. And we will talk, I think, a little bit more about that. Vision and what's in it for us, what's in it for the customer. That's still really important in any change, in anything you're doing. You need to have a compelling, are we going there or there? Still super important. Um, and I think you also need structured ways. I think we went from superstructure and then everybody going agile and then
Mm.
we're running around. And I think we need to go to back, like have both some structure to work with and being quick. You need structure to have speed. That's
Mm.
my personal view. You need structure to have speed, vision, structure, and then you get the speed. So I think stakeholder management, structures, vision, and then the fourth for me, especially, it's have fun, do
Mm.
things in an engagement. How everybody talk about people engagement, like how do you engage people? And it's a lot of fun. It's like people like to have fun. It doesn't need to be boring implementations of IT or this latest CRM system or the ERP system, or let's just do AI and it's so make that we make it. It's important, but at the same time you can have fun with it. And I think that's the best way we learn, having play around and have fun and make it engaged, like something inspiring to be part of. So yeah, those are the four things I would take with me always.
So tell me about EQ5 and where did that start? Why did you develop a framework?
So when I left Ericsson, I was there for 16 years, and from I was 20 plus something to almost 40 I left, I was always doing implementations or transformations or leading change in somewhere or another. What I remember and I took with me is that I had millions. And you are not cheap. I had millions in budgets, investors, like, my business, the leadership team, and I have projects. I have 12 projects. I mean, it was a lot of investments that Ericsson as a company took as a decision. So like, we were going to do that. And still, flying around or going to a market unit or going like, we don't have the time, or not, it's not in part of our strategic priorities, or it's not there. And then and that for me is where investments are lost. And like, in my view, if as a company you make strategic decisions, the rest of the company should have this red, the red mat, like when you walk, like they should be that for the project. And I think that has to do with that people don't know their roles. And that's part of the structure thing. Like, what's my role when a strategic change happens? What's Andrea's role? What's the sponsor role? What's my role as a leader? And I think that's where I started EQ5 and say, hey, well, the return on change is about money for me. It's not about fluffy, let's make it soft for people. It's not about that. It's not at all about that. It's really about make sure that we close the gap of this is what we say going to do. We need to get thousands, 10,000 people to be here in adoption by the end of X year. If that doesn't happen, then your business case is not going to deliver. So for me, that's why I started EQ5.
And this was in the marketing area, right? So we didn't really mention that this is in the marketing space where you're dealing with large, extremely large budgets, lots of people, lots of complexity. And
Well,
then technology is always changing in the marketing space, right? It's constantly shifting and changing and improving.
So when we worked together, it was all like the marketing and communication space. After that, when I've been working with other companies, it's been like the whole company. Or in Ericsson, I also did the product catalog, or for the whole company. So I've been doing, and change management is the same. That's why I work like EQ5. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're in logistics or HR transformation, or you're doing the change, people still the same. There is no difference between somebody in finance and somebody in marketing. Well, the only difference that,
I always
finance,
think
they
of
are
the word.
different. Finance and marketing are different, but it's still, we need to, like, we are humans, basically. And that's why I think change management if you need people to move and do something differently, you need to plug that in.
I always think about the word alignment. Like anytime I go to a new company or I'm working either, whether it's a customer or it's a place I've chosen to go work, I always think about the word alignment and how important that is from the top all the way to the
Oh,
frontline
so
person.
much.
Because if they don't know how they
Yes.
fit into the mission and the objectives and what are we all focused on, people are kind of running around in different directions, right?
Oh my God. That's so important. And everybody, you mentioned that when we say, oh, we are in alignment, but you think they're in alignment, or we think we are in alignment, but then we are not, because we haven't done the work. And I give you one example. I work with a board of directors and the owners of a quite large company in Sweden. And we did this amazing work together with the board of directors and then with the leadership team about alignment. So what happens when you're in a board, I was in the board of that company, it's like, I read a lot from that industry, and this is the mobility car industry. So I'm learning and reading this, and they have the knowledge from, from other, they're reading. So there's so much information about what's happening in the market, what changing is coming. But what you need to do as a board or as a leadership team, it's align what we see. So you need to take in all that information and then decide this, we are in alignment. This will happen by that. Even though we don't know what's happening in 5 years, but we as a team needs to be clear that we think that disruption will come by that time. because then we know how to lead them. The leadership team also knows that, okay, well, we think this is going to happen by then. Even if we don't know, we need to like put a flag there and then try to go, that's like kind of on that direction. So then you make decisions so much easier if we understand together that becomes our knowledge and our alignment, and it will happen by then. And this is going to affect us like that. Are we aligned on that? Yes, that's clarity on a leadership team perspective. And then it's actions. Then it's just like, okay, how do we bridge the gap? What are we doing? Blah, 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 blah. It makes so much easier to make decisions if we all are aligned on the top. And I say, if that starts to, I mean, if 10 people start to be like this, 100 people are going to be, whoo, and 1,000, it's even, I mean, just that's triples and very quickly.
So, but I
The
mean, today,
alignment.
right, with product life cycles getting shorter, shorter all the time, and you have AI, generative AIs come out, leaders don't know exactly what to do with it. Everybody's thinking, if you ask people what is AI, you get 50 different answers. We know this is going to be a massive transformation, especially for the large enterprises. Even small businesses obviously have lots of tools they can use. So, what should leaders be thinking about in terms of AI adoption? Like not just as like a technology rollout, but like a fundamental shift or leadership challenge that they have to face? And kind of how are you helping them navigate that path?
That's a great question. I think everybody's asking that question. In contrast to the dot-com bubble or the bubbles we had in history, we can see the same path, the same in history. If you look at the patterns of a bubble, and we are clearly in a bubble, I would say you need to have empathy. The bubble is a bubble, and then they burst. That's where consolidation, a lot of company goes bust. You get all these, some will survive that, and then transformation happens. So when things like the dust has settled, that's where real, like all the other companies, not the LLMs and the open AIs, but the rest of us starts to really understand how we're going to transform the core business models and how we're going to do. I mean, just look at 20 years back or 30. It's going to go to the dot-com era. Today, I don't think, I mean, a lot of gurus know a lot, but I think we don't know, most of us. So empathy for me as a leader is something super important. I think they should say, hey, we're all learning. I'm learning. Look what I'm looking, or look what I'm trying to, like, be transparent that we are all humans in a biggest transformation ever, and nobody knows how this is going to play. I mean, we have the biggest minds in the world from Google, like former, I think, Google executive. He's saying this is gonna be really bad. It's gonna doomsday, and
Utopia,
until yeah, kind of that. And then you have other gurus, super high level, saying totally
abundance.
the opposite.
Yes,
Like,
abundance.
yeah,
Remember the
so it's just
utopia.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, so we can't know. From a leader perspective, I think have empathy and transparency. Don't pretend that we know the answers right now, because we don't.
I think sometimes people
And
look at leaders and think they have all the answers, but that's not always the case. And then sometimes it's like an acknowledgement that there is some fear, and it's okay to feel scared sometimes. There is some uncertainty, but if we are as a team aligned and we believe it's going in this direction, we'll kind of experiment together. We'll go that way. But maybe you're aligning everybody and you're saying, okay, in 5 years we're going this way. Right now we're at like in 6 months we don't know where we are. So how in this like compressed time frame can you bring those leaders together and help them think a little bit differently? Because the time scales seem to be very compressed now. Like the change that will be 2 years from now will be exponentially different than say a long time ago. You could look out a little bit longer in your time horizon.
yeah, even though we feel everything going super fast, it's still technology that's going super fast. People's need is not, you know, changing rapidly at the same time, or people's ways of, customers don't like, are not like, oh, tomorrow I want this. So it's still being, when I say about looking at the long-term perspective and seeing things and planning for that, I mean the real problems to solve of the world, or your, part of your business model, part of your, what you want to bring to the world.
Mm.
Have that as a vision. Technology is just, speed of technology change is going very fast. But if we don't know, we can't really, stop. Like, we can't not have a way of, like, a vision of where we're going anyway. Even though everything is changing, we still need to know. I'm still gonna. We're gonna do. Ericsson's still gonna be doing this. Yeah, I think we do. And IKEA's still gonna do this. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I mean. Don't pretend that you know everything. We're all learning. Walk the talk and experiment. I think now is the time to test and experiment a lot, and test things. And not only on the top, I mean, entire company. Everybody needs to go for it and test it.
In your framework, your method, there's like 5 pillars that are mentioned. Tell us a little bit about that and where that came from.
Um, oh, that's funny. I woke up, I was just starting up, and I wanted to work in with this, and I was thinking about, so how does, how do people, really change, and do that work to move companies? And so I woke up, I think it was 3:30 a.m. And I just, like, boom, when things just comes to you, and I'm like, I'm running down to to the kitchen and, like, okay, so, and it just came to me. I don't know why. I mean, emotional intelligence is super important, and about change, emotion, like, that's kind of a given. You need to be a good leader and be a change leader. Emotion intelligence, empathy, and communication, transparency, all of that. But then the 5 is the structure part of it. So I was thinking, like, let's say that, your friend moves to Hawaii. It's like, whoa, that's inspiration. Like, I know, oh, he could move to Hawaii.
Why
Like,
can't
that's
I? Yeah,
interesting.
that's right.
Maybe it's like, and then you start imagine. It's like, imagine that. So you start picturing. When you imagine, you picture things in your head about, what if I would do that? What if we could do that? What if? And you look vividly at these pictures in the future and say, huh, okay, that's interesting. And then you go into explore. What do I mean with explore? It's like, what if I want to move to Hawaii? What does it take? Do I have the money? Can I move my family? Can I change this? Do I have where do I work? La 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 la. Like, you do the whole exploration thing. Do I need to learn new stuff? Like, everything is the exploration phase. It's actually doing the business model canvas, basically. Like, exploring the risks and the pros and the cons, and, like, making the plan eventually about, okay, so now I have all this, I can do this, and then you start doom doom, and that's the action part. So you have the inspiration, inspire, imagine, explore, and then take action, and then you start, okay, I'm gonna sell the house, I'm gonna do this, so that's the action part. And passion for me was the last thing, is that you get into a new state of mind. You have passion. You need to get through the change, because it's not easy to make major changes. It's not painful. It goes with a cost. And that cost needs to be known. And then you need to go
Mm.
with, and that passion drives you through all these resilience or problems or issues. So, and it's basically the same, but in companies, the structure, I put it with different frameworks for every pillar. Like, imagine, for example, in a company is really about metaphors for the vision. Like, Don't talk about that. We're going, oh, cost saving, operational excellence.
Doesn't get people that excited.
Yes, let's
Maybe some
go,
finance
baby.
people, yeah.
Oh, no, that's like kind of, yeah, we know we're doing that. That's kind of a given. Like what, but why? And that's kind of, we're going to be, beating out. We're going to like find that thing that moves the elephant, like the emotional part of the people, if you want them to actually just jump in the freezing cold water and start like rowing and following you. That's kind of imagine for me.
I wanna turn back to, your framework. Why did you develop that framework? Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And, why do you see it resonating with your customer?
So when I work with large companies, and I also bought a lot of consultants in my time, and in specifically in the change management. And what a lot of consultants were good at is the structured work. So we have these frameworks and structure and everything, and we follow that very strict. Like that's the structure we go into. And then you have the other part of other suppliers that are like, oh, we can do these events and get teamwork going and leadership things and all these engagement things. And those are good, but they're not very good in change per se. So this, for me, my framework or EQ5, when I really started with this, was about having both in the same thing. So like you need structure because it's really professional activities. You need to work with this. It's not, just give me a communication plan. But you also need to have the sparkle, like the fun and the engagement and the drum beat and how do you communicate and the feelings and the empathy and all of that. So it both so for my framework, EQFIVE is both. You get like both the structure, but also the emotion and the passion and engagement, and how do you move people with real leadership, I would say, because it's really leadership communication. It's how they
There's something to be
show up.
said, I think, about pulling people out of the environment, their day-to-day environment as well. Do you pull people away from the office? And because if you're trying to align people sometimes and you want them to kind of experience that emotional change that's gonna spark something, it's very hard to do, like you said. The operational people are so busy firefighting that they're like, "Oh, you're giving me another thing I gotta deal with?" Trying to deal with that in the same office with the same day-to-day stuff is
Yeah,
as
it
easy
depends.
as you pull them away for a retreat or some kind of offsite that, helps them kinda focus.
If it's needed, yes. I don't think it's always needed, but most when you are in creative mode, like with leadership alignments, then you really that's a good thing to do. Just like let's check in, leave everything out, like focus, like really focus on because this is important. This is make or break. We go back and this is where we're going. So it's a good thing. When you're managing change programs and change projects in whatever you're working with, I would say you don't need to do that, but
Mm.
you do have to have something extra fun, different, because you, as a leader of a project, you're fighting with, I don't know, five, ten, I mean, other projects going out there. And I remember when I was doing the one we were doing, like the marketing transformation, my colleague was doing the sales transformation. And then they were starting this little event called the Ocean Race. Do you remember the Volvo Ocean
Ocean
Race
Race?
campaign?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the world would like to go to his workshops. Of course. I mean, the Volvo Ocean Race. Woohoo! Let me go to South Africa. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just not fun to come and talk about marketing processes that time or
Yeah.
IT systems. So that's where the sparkle and like, how do I get people into mine? And so it's working with other things, like just as people will, I see people as people and humans and just have something interesting and to do. So they at least come and be part of this change.
Leaders often underestimate culture, right? And that's probably the hardest part of change is shifting, especially if you have very large companies, even small companies, it's hard to move people. What do you see as moving the needle, the kind of mindsets and behaviors that you'll see in an organization?
Our culture is my favorite topic in change, I would say. Culture for me is the end product. It's what you see, feel, like, oh, this is the way we do things around here. That's culture. But you can actually structured wise, architectural, like
You can architect
really,
it, right? Like
you
by
can
doing rituals
architect
and
how are we doing things, and behaviors that you want to show and come. That's that you can do. And I would tell you about one why I know that. I was 16 years at Ericsson, and you will think, oh, Ericsson has a culture. No, Ericsson sometimes did have different cultures in different business unit. Sometimes we had a really good top CEO, and that culture went all the way into everybody in the leadership team and then drilled down. And one culture could be toxic 1 year, and then 3 years later, or in another leadership team, other people, 3 years later, you had this amazing culture moving people, and we were all like, and maybe in 2000 after the .com, Ericsson had 50% of the people had to leave. The 50 that was left, everything was broken.
mm,
So how do you motivate when I don't have, like, I had 800 colleagues and now I'm alone
mm,
in my role? How? And that's what I've seen it so many times. I've worked with companies and CEOs and leadership teams on, let's like make sure you get this and not this. Because if you don't really think about it, you're not moving the needle in culture. It's just gonna be whatever it is. And for me, in this AI, the difference between the bubble we are in right now and the bubbles we've had before is that they all were industry. It was like, oh, the car, the electricity. There were a lot of, like, it was more industry wise,
mm.
and we were transforming industry by industry. This technology is going into all industries, but into our core, our humans, and it's just augment us. If you've been with ChatGPT for over a year, it's you basically on steroids, and I'm like, um, so put that in perspective into your company. If we don't work with our who we are, and that's the culture you want to have when you get into agents and colleagues and customer support bots and what else we're gonna do, the people needs to be really careful because it's gonna be augmented the bad and the good. So let's make sure it's the good. When we are the best, this is how we show up. And so you need to work with culture and the architect and how do we do that? Yeah.
You made a good point there. It's about enhancing or augmenting, and it could be augmenting the good or augmenting the bad. But
Yeah.
ultimately, there is going to be disruption, and you're going to see not only the real human employees, but you're going to start to see these virtual employees or the digital employees that will, give us, I guess, the challenge of trying to figure out what is the limits of our imagination, frankly. Right, I
Oh,
think
yes, I
there's
love
so
that.
much we can do that we haven't thought about doing because we never could do it. So it's almost like
Yes.
you're taking off the reins and you're putting on, a Superman cape, and you're like, "Oh, I can do that now? I didn't realize. I never thought about doing that." So I think fundamental operational business processes that you'll see in these very large companies are built on a foundation of human beings need to be in this process. But if you were to start the same kind of company today, you might say,
Mm.
well, actually, where could I insert technology so that it makes my humans even more impactful? Not to replace everybody. Yes, there'll be some companies that are very automated, but I think there's still the need for like judgment, wisdom, empathy, emotion, and the human to human relationships. Because if all the intelligence and knowledge becomes a little bit commoditized, like AI is a really good general consultant, right? It'll give you
Yeah.
pretty good
Yeah.
responses. but it's not going to give you the right response all the time. So I think you're always going to need that person, those people in the organization that are going to be in front of the customer. There'll be transactional businesses, I'm sure, that can be handled without people. But,
Mm.
for the complex things and where there's a lot of people involved, there's going to be need to have the Andreas and the people that are in there with their personalities and their unique experiences that you just can't get from a chatbot or an agent.
Everybody's like, how do we get in, AI into the company and what we're doing today? They know how to work. Process are there, the work is there, the people is all the knowledge people, the best of the best you employed in every part of the organization. You have the best salespeople, the marketing people. They're like, everybody knows their expertise. Now, the best way to quickly get the best of the, augment all the whole thing is to get everybody on board on AI. You need to give them the vision. Why are we doing this? That's like given. Like we're gonna be AI first, or we're
Yeah.
gonna do whatever. That's your vision that you have. But we have to point people. But then you also need to give them a safe environment. A lot of people we're all using the tech outside the company, and then inside, oh, I don't know if, security, 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 and everybody's going, woo. And so I think that's kind of where you need to get everybody, like give them the knowledge so they know everything about AI literacy, and the bias thing, and the govern, all the things that we need to know. Give them a trust, like a safe environment that if I work with this, it's okay. Like I'm in I'm not going to destroy the company by working with this.
Right.
And also the ethical part, like let's get real about ethical. And I have something I would like to talk about the ethical part. We are in the beginning of something huge. We're all testing. So give your people the best of the best in all the organizations, just the way so they can put requirements in and they can see how we can do best. Because don't make this a project for IT. It's just gonna be, this is like, oh my God, I just can see this
Mm.
going. Or the other thing is that you make it like it's something, head of digital transformation. Like, hey guys, it's part of everything we're doing.
Yeah.
Digital is everywhere. Now we're doing the same thing. Oh, AI, head of AI, head of AI. When every time something new comes, it's so easy to like, let's give it to that person, and then everybody else can continue what we're doing. Like it will come to us when that person figure it all out, and it just goes so slowly. Of course, because then they have to put the whole thing. It's like if you want something to go fast, put it in every place. Like it's all about us. It's everywhere.
It's like
That
politics.
speed.
It's like a groundswell, the grassroots, right? Everybody working on it together. They're all learning at the same time, bottom up instead of top down. I mean, you need both, right? You need the leader,
You need both.
drive
The top.
everybody,
The
but you
top
need the
is the
energy at
vision.
the bottom, right?
The top is the vision. Just point us in the right direction, and then we will make sure that we get you there.
Yeah.
Then you get movement, energy, give them the power and make it, how say, a safe environment. That's kind of, is it safe? It was the same when like everybody's going to be on LinkedIn. Can I say this on LinkedIn? Can I say that on LinkedIn? Oh, maybe I should. Like, that's too much energy wasted. So yeah,
It's
give
about
the
giving
like
some kind of
feel
guardrails.
and try. Yeah, exactly. The guardrails on, like, when you play, let's say, not golf, but what to say? Oh my God, when you have this
The
big
bowling
ball and
ball.
you have to
The
bowling.
ball.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
That's right. The bowling. These rails. Those are the ones that I'm saying. Like, get as much balls going as possible, as fast as possible. Then you're gonna win.
yeah.
But just put the rails up, like clear ones, and make that's not super hard to do.
And I think if you give people guardrails, a sense of safety, and the
Yeah,
ability to experiment and innovate, but you
yeah.
have to obviously give them some guidance on what are the ethical implications around that.
Okay. Ethical. I was thinking the other day. you know, I'm an advisor for an ethical AI think tank, and the other day I was thinking about, because we're implementing. You have the code of conduct, you have ethical rules that you follow, but it's interesting now because of AI. We actually need to get that right. It's different. We haven't been able to do that with humans. Humans mess up, and I will not talk about politicians more, but we're not the ethical people like we would like to be. So now, if you as a company wants that, in Europe at least, you need to follow this strictly. And that's, for me, it's like, oh, is AI helping humans become better in that way? Kind of, because now we actually need to follow that. No, I'm not going to be biased. I'm not going to do this. I'm not, because otherwise you're going to get big fines. So I was like, it's not all bad. It's very interesting to see how maybe AI is going to lifting our humanity, what it is to be human. And I think that's a very
Mm.
nice, interesting perspective of all this technology and what it is and how bad it is or good or whatever. I mean, it's both good and bad. If you have bad people and people are using it bad, and you will always have technology used in different ways. And I don't think AI is any different.
Mm.
It's just faster.
Yeah. Now we've been talking about your experience with very large companies, right? And, there are people that might be listening to this that have, they'll say, well, I can't really relate to a giant corporation that like that. Maybe I'm a small to medium sized business and I'm struggling with this as well, but maybe in a little bit of different ways. So what principles could they take away from some of the things you've shared that apply to no matter what size of the business it is? Like, how do smaller companies actually, maybe they have an advantage in terms of, making change?
Yeah. Um, I think it's culture again. I think it's the same principles. There is this, everybody uses like, oh, culture eats strategy for breakfast, but it's real. There is, your culture and your people is the only thing that nobody else can copy. It's impossible to copy how all of your humans together and how they perform together as a group. So their culture is the sum of this. So they are all making the decisions. They are putting in AI in different ways. They are doing the job. So for me, culture is the one thing you need to get right. And it's easier if you're smaller, because it just ripples very fast. You can just see, oh, this is I had I started a startup, and even when we were 3, I was, this is the culture I want. And I was taking the culture that I like from Sweden, the view of how we view people. I think Sweden is one of the best in culture, organizational culture. And Latin America has this really strict hierarchy ways of leading. And that, I think they need to change a lot to get the speed up. So in Latin America, everybody was telling me, no, you're not going to get that. They're not used to it. And I'm like, the first thing I did, I told all my employees, it's like, if you think I'm saying something that you really don't agree, or it's really wrong, or something is like, I'm crazy, like, just, I fire you if you're not telling me it. It's like, that's kind of what, like, you want that culture. In small companies, culture is so easy to show. It's just walk the talk.
Mm.
Meetings, how we show up. In Ericsson, I had a manager when we had meetings. If people came after 5 minutes, he locked the door. He just really, I mean, it took 5 times maybe, or 3.
Mm.
Nobody came late to that meeting. Nobody, because they knew. And so that's kind of how you structure like
Ritual.
behavior,
The
like
ritual.
the ritual, like,
Yeah.
click. It's like, you can't come in. And I was the same. And it was so funny one day. I was 2 or 3 minutes late to Latin America, they are like notorious late. That's kind of, oh, that's the way we are. I'm like, no, you can choose how you are. Like, it's like, that's not it's not. So I came late, I don't know, 3 minutes. Everybody was there. And they were like, we were here before, this Sweden. So that's kind of what I think culture, and in a small company, that's the one thing that they have fast. You really can quickly put that in place, and you have to in the beginning. So it ripples down to the next level and the next level. I think read about Netflix or how they work with culture.
It's really interesting when you mention that, like when we talk about not just corporate culture, but actually different countries, right? I've worked in Thailand, I've worked in Australia, the US, and spent some time in Europe as well. And it is interesting to see how the leadership is either very hierarchical, very consensus, and it does impact how things work. And I've noticed in some cultures there is this deference to the top leader sometimes, and they wait for, that person at the top to give the direction rather than, as you said, challenge the leader or proactively provide ideas that might make things better. And I think
Yeah.
it take a lot for the leaders, not the CEO leader only, but like even middle management leaders. They feel kind of stuck in the middle sometimes, and they're not totally supported 100% of the time by the executive level. But how do you coach those leaders? Like the ones that are not, they don't have all the power, and they don't maybe have all the visibility or the formal authority.
Oh,
How do you coach them? How do
that's
you inspire them?
my crew, my people. You're talking about them. That's kind of my. Um, you actually lead. You have to lead executives. So you need to understand how to lead. That's one thing that I work with. Like, and the executives, they just they want results. I mean, that's their job. Like, give me the results. They don't want problems, issues, politics. They just like executives just want results. So that's one thing. And then I also work with like, how do you then coach the middle, the managers? So you need to lead up, and then you need to lead and coach the other ones to get the support. I talked in the beginning, this red mat that
Red
I'm
carpet.
talking about, the red carpet. So you are the one, throwing the ball or working with, and then you have one sponsor, hopefully a good one that knows how change works. So then you are the ones, and everybody's like, oh yeah, you're working the project. No, no, no. I will help you implement. You are the rest of the organization role is to roll out the mat. Let's implement this and then go to the next thing. And let's do this. That's their role. So as a coach, my about how do you lead an executive, your CEO? Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, that's your role. How do you support them to help you? And then so executives coaching the middle managers, because that's where most of the resistant part comes, and then structure and frameworks to help with that. I would say that's kind of the frameworks and structures are till for helping you lead up and middle managers. And they
So back
love when I tell them, like, when you come this way instead, like when you present yourself in that way to support them and their job, because it's just like they are in operations. They're like, the things are burning everywhere, every day. So now we have to change, and they don't have that time. So when you lead and support them to help you, it's a win-win. And they're like, oh my God, oh, thank you. This is so easy to work with. Then resistance goes like, feels comfortable. I was like, it should be like light to run a transformation. And I would also say to when you run, I think big companies talk about transformation, small companies pivot. I don't know, I pivoted 3 or 4 times in my startup. And it's still about leadership. It's still about pointing in a new direction. It's still about the vision. It's still about you like as a leader in a transformation, you need internal comms maybe, or you need much more to get into the people, but it's
Concepts
the
and the
top
principle.
about the concepts are the same. It just it's faster in a startup or in a smaller company.
Hmm. If someone's listening to this and they know they have a lot of disruption coming with AI or internal initiatives that might not be tech related, cultural shifts, acquisitions of new business divisions, integrating new companies, can be many things. What are the top problems that you're helping them solve by coming to EQ5?
So it's different. It depends on, like, do you need a coach or do you need a consultant? That's different, of course. The
Well,
major problem.
just explain
ma-
that for some people that might not know the difference.
yeah. So the coaching is about helping internal leaders leading change, the ones that are running all this. I coach them so they can close this gap, make sure that they deliver on time and get all the people on board without having the burnout, basically. Just like I'm getting too frustrated. So that's the coaching side, and for that I have one-on-one coaching. I have a program that I'm actually launching, a program, 6-week program that we're doing group coaching. We're doing learning development as well, and then one-on-one coaching in that program. Um, and then from a consulting perspective, that's where I go in. I help CEOs get alignment, steering, the transformation going. Many times, what I've seen is that they put projects on operating, like on people that already have operations working. Oh, you're very good in this,
Mm.
then you can run this project or this program. And that is not a good idea, because operations and everything that is burning, it becomes takes over many times. So I come in either as a change manager or helping the CEO be the side. I'm the sidekick to get the transformation coordination and get the transformation actually aligned and running.
So one is coaching to individuals, the individual leaders, which can be at different levels, like from
Ex-
top level
yeah,
to middle management. It doesn't matter where the leaders are. And then on the other side, you're saying it's more of a program piece of work that you're helping an organization think through what's the frameworks, how we're going to roll it out, and what this big program is going to look like, and then
yeah.
advising the CEO or the executive team on that.
Most of the time, what I've seen, most of the time they get the tech part right or the actions right. Like they have this program going, like there is a lot of stuff going on, but it goes slowly and they don't understand why. It's just like, and this alignment is not happening in this organization between them, because sometimes big transformations or transformations, you can't run it in silos. You can't do marketing without, changing sales. You can't do logistic on ERP system, and everything is connected. Data warehouses are connected. So you need to plan and make this go, working together. And so that's one thing. Just get this, what is prioritized and how do they meet, but also the vision, the imagine, like the whole people and culture part. That's where I always spend most of my time. We work with the structure to get the transformation drumbeat going, but we work a lot with, hey guys, how do we move your people? How do we engage? How do we make this enjoyable? Because it's gonna be hard as hell to go into this. I mean, pivoting in small companies is really tough as well. It's night work. It's not easy. And in big companies, you just like, I am measuring on sales quotas every quarter. And now you're telling me I'm going to this workshop half a day. Of course, then you need to get more than that's why we're doing it, operational excellence or something. So that's where I come in, just get this culture and people and get this movement going. Because I've seen it so many times when you get that energy in, oh my God, that's that momentum that you when you start seeing this like this alignment and this like this fish, steam going like this, and everybody's like this energy that goes into people. There, it's amazing when you see that. If you've never been part of that, I'm so sad. It's like if you've never been in love, it's the same. If I'm sad if people never been in love, then I'm sad for you. But if you haven't been in a corporation, when you feel that, when your colleagues, everybody's just like woof around you, and we're going, and it's fun as well. That's
You're
that
flying
energy.
down the red carpet, like everybody's
Yeah, that's where the red
enjoying the
carpet
ride.
works. That's kind of, yeah, exactly. And it's really, and I've seen it, and I've been from a leader perspective, but I've been part of it when I was younger as well. When that movement moves, those leaders, those are the ones that write books.
Mhm.
Those are the leaders that write the books. And then everybody's like, wow, they did this, they did that. And it's like, yeah, they got people. And actually, Microsoft is one of the ones that they had at, I just read about it. Microsoft, Satya, went in, and they had a change management practice of consultings for like a 9 people big team. And they did, and now it's a huge part of their corporate ways of working. So yeah, that's the leaders that write the books.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I want to work with to help them that.
Just getting to wrap up here. So, I got one more question for you. If you were to give one bit of advice, and it could be for the entrepreneur who's maybe a smaller, medium-sized business, or it could be a global leader. And if they're listening to this, what's the one step that they could take tomorrow to prepare themselves for the organizational change that's going to happen with AI?
Oh, that's a hard one. It's a very good question, Sean. It's a hard one to just say one because it really depends on the maturity you are in. Um, but I think I would say make sure you upskill everyone. Like just get AI into everybody's, make that,
Like delaying is
have a
bad.
vision.
They have to.
Yeah, no. So get that because they're using it outside. It's just get that into the company. So that's helping the vision. Don't do the long-term vision, maybe. It's like because we don't know, but the short-term vision, what we're trying to achieve, close around here with AI, like what's the vision? Why are we thinking? And make sure that you are transparent and say, we don't know, but we think that's the vision we're gonna do. Let's help. Let's all get around this. Um, Refresh your culture. And when I mean refresh, just make sure you bring it up from this paper or nice, values or wordings or what you have. Make sure you start working with defining your culture because that it's going to go into the AI in every process. So get that up. Who are we? How do we show up?
So it's
Because
more than just putting core values on a piece of paper on
I
the
don't know.
wall there.
Of course, because let's say the process about you have a process, send email. That's part of the process, and automatically the AI will write the email and say, how do we write the email? Should we be empathetic or should we be professional? Or should we be this or should we be that? Like, make sure you know.
Yeah.
And a safe environment. That's make it safe. That it's okay to test here, try that, release a little bit, test back again. But, with these rails up, I think you get the ball going and just don't make it a chief AI project or, somebody else's problem.
That's
Make
good. Good advice. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending the
Thank
time with me
you.
today, and it was great to see you. And Look forward to
Same.
having people connect with you. If they wanted to reach EQ5 or yourself, what's the best way to get in contact with you? Website,
Well, I mean,
Instagram?
everything on
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, Andrea Moreau Folcker in LinkedIn, of course, and my homepage. There is also, you can book a meeting with me, EQ5.com, EQ5, and five with five in English, not
Okay,
the number. And yeah, would love to. I mean, anybody that is interested in improving their way of leading change are my people. So let's talk.
great. Thank you so much for being here, Andrea, and I appreciate it and look forward to connecting again
Thank you
soon.
for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Bye.